Watch this or I'll take your soul.
Jam on toast!
Ohio gozaimasu. Welcome to the jam. Watashi no namae Kamerai desu. And today the toast is to Soul Eater. This is a SourcefedNerd Anime Club review, and thank you, Meg, for picking one that I've recommended to people to watch for years now. So the short sell on this one is that Death has started an academy for students to train into collecting souls of those that have become tainted, what they call Kishins. They do a really good job of explaining what Kishins are in the first episode, so if you're really curious what that is, go for it, or Google's the thing. My love for this one is the characters. They're carefully purposed and totally enjoyable. They balance out really well, and you think because they're based on partners that partners are going to get along with partners, and then pairs of partners are going to have conflicts with other pairs of partners like you have in buddy cop movies, but really it's kind of that they're all on the same team, and even that certain pairs have preferences for other pairs, but there's really no animosity to the other students other than typical high school type conflicts. My hate for this one is the overused punchlines. This is a huge pet peeve of mine in most anime, and I just can't stand it, but in this show, I get by it really easily, and maybe it's because the characters are so much better. It's one of the reasons why I don't like Angel Beats, is I couldn't take their one-liners anymore. The MVP of this show is Maka to me, and I don't know if it's because they've subtly centered her out of all the students with her involvement as her dad being one of Death's weapons, and her involvement as being one of the top students. I don't know, maybe I've been forced. But I really like that she's a strong female character. I like how she handles a lot of the situations and doesn't back down. And while there are characters that are more enjoyable, the way the plot forms, it wouldn't be what it is without her hinging most of it together. But on to the categories. Aesthetics. This is anime, so it looks like anime, but it's this nice, crisp, plain, modern-looking anime that I've come to really enjoy. I've got a soft spot in my heart for the old 80s, 90s style anime, but I gotta say, if this is where we're going, I'm on board. I really, really like the human stylings here, other than some of the noses on occasion. I'm not such a fan of some of the monsters, and the moon and sun kind of creep me out a little bit. Most of my other problems with the aesthetics come in and are explained in the show. Like Death states that the reason he is how he is because he got tired of scaring his students, essentially. He wanted to be more accessible to them. There's plenty of fan service, and they kind of make a joke of it. So there's references to adult content, but it's nothing like crazy. And most importantly, the fan service is either on the villains or the paper characters that we don't care about so much. Aesthetics gets a 95. Character development. This school is all about training students. They're going to get better and change and go through life experiences. You will not get the same characters by the end of each season, let alone the end of the entire series that you started with. They're going to grow in power and skill and personality, and they're going to grow as a student body too, which is important to pay attention to. Not to mention that they are going to grow as pairs as well. By the time Black Star and Tsubaka go on her special mission, I think you have to agree with me that the character development is top-notch, and that it's very hard to argue that down at all. Even the characters are worthy, and there aren't a lot of characters that aren't worthy of note in this, which blows my mind just thinking about that. Character development gets 95. Storyline. I was so intrigued by rewatching this again that I want to finish the entire series before I finish this review, and I only got about halfway through. I'm like somewhere in season 3. I want to know where this keeps going because I can't remember, but I know that it goes somewhere good. I remember enjoying this from beginning to end, and thus far with the Kishin and all the witches, it's drawn together beautifully. They do their story arcs very well. They tie them up, they start a new one, they overlap some of them, but you very clearly get a beginning and end to all your story arcs, and I really appreciate that in writing. Storyline gets a 90. Compulsion. I freaking love this show. I could watch someone do scythe battling for hours on end, apparently, because it's so intriguing, and they paid attention to it when they were doing all the actions with her, because you can only do so much with a scythe. You may not be that knowledgeable in martial arts, but a scythe can only swing one way to be effective, and you can block with it like a dozen different ways, but most pole arms you aren't restricted like that unless it's maybe a halberd, and then you can still stabby stab. But that's just one of 100 things I could point out. Each character you could concentrate a half-hour special on. Then you think about the dynamics between them and their partners, and them and the other characters. There's a lot to take in, and you don't have to do any of it. You can turn your brain off and just enjoy the cool action and metaphysics, but I like thinking about all that, and I'm going to do it anyways. Compulsion gets a 90. Now, if you total everything together, you get an average of 92.5. This is one of my top recommendations for anime. It mixes up goofy anime styles, action, and dramatic points very well. It even balances well between anime extremes, action, and proper exposition. There is some reference to adult content, blood, and violence, but it's nothing that you're not going to see on basic cable anyways. Parents, make sure you know what your kids are watching, but this is something I recommend for everyone, so families sit down and have a good time. I think that's all I got from me. I'm Camry. Have a nice day.